Hi, I am Allie Camilletti, and you are listening to Snack Leadership. I will be talking about everything leadership, broken down into bite-sized pieces. You will hear what different leadership skills look like in organizations and how they can rise teams up or take them down. I help leaders build resilience and improve performance by bringing awareness to opportunity behaviors in my business. Spark your mindset. I provide leadership and sales coaching, as well as team building and guest speaking. My hope is for you to feel inspiration and to create a spark in your mindset. Hi, everyone. Today we are talking about proactive leadership. Proactive leadership is about anticipating challenges and having a plan for handling them. Dr. Benjamin Ritter, founder of Live for Yourself Consulting, is a leadership and career coach, talent development executive, values geek, international speaker, online course instructor, and podcaster, who's passionate about guiding leaders to be the leader of their own career and create a career they love. Thank you, Ben, for joining us today.
I am excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right, let's start off. What is something you have learned about yourself recently?
I was actually in I think it's called Shavasana in yoga, hot yoga class. And this is where a lot of my epiphanies come. Some people do it in the shower. I get it after yoga class. And I was laying there and all of a sudden I had this vision of like being connected to everything. And very often I felt like I had to show up in a way that created certain outcomes for myself and the environment. So if I showed up, let's say loving, I would influence the world to love more. And this vision was a little different. It was like, if you are open to love, then you will love and you'll attract more love to you. It was very different. Like the idea that I had before was show up and persuade and change based on myself. And the vision was no. Be open to what you want. And that will then create the environment that you want. It's a very different perspective around the fact that if we are all connected to something, what are we drawing to us instead of what are we forcing to be created? And it was just this very strange change in mindset that helped me remember that I needed to think and feel and live a certain way if I wanted to curate that environment around myself. And I think the same thing goes for leadership in a professional environment, or even just for ourselves, for our own personal levels of job satisfaction and fulfillment at work. If we think that we're fulfilled, if we think that we're happy, if we focus on those types of thoughts instead of constantly looking for more, constantly being unhappy, constantly just trying to figure out what's wrong with the situation, we will ultimately create an environment that is curated towards our happiness and towards our fulfillment, and also influence the people around us to do the same.
Love it. I love it so much. And it reminds me of the leadership program I work a lot with is called TIGERS, and it's an acronym. And the first word is trust. And Diane Crampton, who developed it, one of the concepts is you have to be open to trust first in order to give trust. Or you have to give trust to be open to trust, right? And that's what you're saying, is that it's not just a one way. You have to open yourself up and allow it first.
Yeah, I'm not going to make you trust me and look for reasons not to trust you.
Yeah.
Or to try to force trust into my environment. Instead, I'm going to be trustworthy.
Yeah.
I'm going to trust, and I'm going to then ultimately just have a a belief in every situation, right? Looking for trust instead of looking for reasons not to trust. And because of that, what you're doing is you're potentially, right? This is kind of like woo-woo, right? You're potentially creating an energetic field around yourself that others will do the same. And you can think what you want to think, but you know when someone's mad in the room. There's a reason for that. You know when someone's happy and energetic and charismatic. You know when someone feels like a leader. You know when someone believes in themselves. And so imagine if we can leverage that in other ways.
And I really do believe it's all energy. We get to choose what we do with that energy. And so, talk to me about the topic being proactive leadership. When do you feel that you first embodied this leadership skill?
Well, it was a little bit of an epiphany moment. It's when I decided to pivot my career from working in healthcare as a manager of business operations, who was at the time very unhappy and disengaged and resentful and living in a victim mindset and blaming everyone around me for that. It's the organization's fault I'm not happy. It's my leader's fault I'm unhappy. And really just trying to not to work, even every day I would go into work. And I was walking into the job one day. Mind you, I could walk into work. It was that close to where I lived. And I was looking around, feeling the weight of having to do this thing I didn't like, blaming the organization and the people, and dreading the day. And I looked around, like I felt like everyone looked like they were feeling the same way. I was like, okay, either I'm creating this around myself or people are really in this state of mind. And I just chose not to feel it anymore. I chose to become proactive instead of reactive in my career. I stopped blaming the organization and my leaders, and I went to myself. Oh, you're the one to blame. Like you're dealing with this every single day. If you're unhappy, quit. If you're not going to quit, make the most of it, because you haven't been. And so the question then comes: if I'm not going to quit, how am I going to make the most of it? And that's where proactive leadership comes in. It says, I'm accountable and I'm empowered to create anything I want to create in my career, either where I'm at or where I'm going to go next. But ultimately, it's really this concept that you're not going to waste the day you have now because you think a better day is going to come tomorrow.
I like it. Yeah. And we see so much of that. And really, it comes back to our mindset of how we want to handle life and look at life and be the leaders in that. So, what have you witnessed when you see somebody that is really in that place, like leaders that you have worked with?
Now, so there's one piece where it's the leader that is in this mindset. It's another piece where the leader's direct reports are in this mindset. And proactive leadership is doing what you would do for yourself for the people in front of you. It's curating an environment that is going to help them feel empowered and accountable, right? And engage them. So there's a different conversation to happen there. But first, you have to start with yourself, because if you are not in this place, then there's very, very rare you're going to be able to help others get to that place. Now, helping others get to that place can help you get to that place too, which is really neat. But ultimately, what you have to start with is to really increase your level of self-awareness around what's happening.
Yeah.
So if you are feeling disengaged and dissatisfied at work, what are the core reasons for that? And not excuses, core reasons. So not my leader is terrible. That's not a reason. That's actually an excuse, because there are a lot of things to do with the terrible leader. And a leader doesn't ultimately choose how you act and how you show up each and every single day at work. So building that level of self-awareness to understand what the core reasons are, and then potentially, when you find out what those reasons are, potential solutions. And solutions are important is because they give us the feeling of we're making progress and we have more control. And if you feel like you have more control and you feel like you're making progress, a terrible situation can turn into one where you have the chance to become energized and happy again.
So, what kind of tools do you recommend for people when they might find themselves going to that place of victim?
Well, I'd say hopefully you have someone to talk to. So either a coach or someone, not to complain to, but someone to talk to. It's a big difference. Someone to describe what you're going through to, who can listen with an open heart and open mind, that can challenge your beliefs. So when you say, I just can't say no to that meeting, they'll catch the can't and they'll go, what do you mean you can't? And then you'll say something along the lines of, well, it's not that I can't, it's just we all have to be there. And be like, well, what do you mean you all have to be there? Have you ever tried not going to that meeting and seeing what happens? Well, no. And I say, well, how would you do that? How would you actually try not to go to that meeting? Who would you talk to? Well, I don't really have to talk to anyone. I just show up because they invite us. Well, so then you kind of go through this conversation. This is what a coach will do. They'll challenge you and challenge your beliefs. And so challenging yourself when you are in a space of victimhood is very difficult when you're by yourself, because you tend to be stuck in your limiting beliefs. If you are going to do it yourself, then I would suggest you write down all the things that you're blaming other people for, your organization, your job, all the things you dislike, everything completely. And I want you to go down that list and circle everything you don't have control over. And everything that you circle, if you do circle anything, I'd say, well, what if I did actually have control in the situation? What would be different? What would I do? And then the things that you didn't circle, do something about it. So what we're doing is we are challenging our beliefs, we're finding solutions, we're taking action, but I'm saying it very simply. This is not an easy exercise, because if you are in a place of victimhood, if you are acting like the victim, then you are seeing things through a skewed point of view. And it's very different to see things differently, because you're then going to have to challenge your identity. And when we challenge our identity, we push back and we fight, because when our identity is proven wrong, then our reality is proven wrong. And then we don't feel like we have control. Now, because being the victim is a sense of control.
Absolutely.
And so what I'm going to say here is that we're going to let go of that control for a bit to try to improve our lives.
When you have been in like cultures, do you find that it's a little bit of everywhere, or it's just maybe one leader that's struggling in this area?
It so depends. It really depends. More leaders than you probably would think are struggling with imposter syndrome,
Absolutely.
are thinking that they are overworked but underutilized, or think that their efforts are not recognized, and at the same time don't feel that they actually deserve the position that they're in, but feel like they want a higher level position. It's a very interesting mindset to be in. And they don't know how to describe their leadership style or executive presence or the vision that they have for their career. So they're stuck kind of in this limbo of, I want more, but I don't believe I deserve more, and I don't believe that I have what I want now. And usually what we have to do is kind of highlight these areas to them, this inner critic that's at the helm, the fact that they haven't put a lot of work into actually becoming aware of who they are as a leader, mostly because they're so worried about their success and so worried about what other people think of them, that they've just been reacting. And this is where that proactive leadership comes in. They've been reacting to the world around them, reacting to opportunities, reacting to work assignments, reacting to the needs of their boss. And at the same time, this is usually the case, feeling like they have to protect their direct reports from their boss, who is terrible and doesn't recognize them and is authoritative and everyone complains about. So they put themselves as the hero of the story, but they don't believe that they're the hero. And they don't even know how to actually describe the fact that, like, of what their superpowers are and that they are a hero. This is a lot, but that's, again, why self-awareness and why challenging your beliefs is so important. And honestly, this is where proactive leadership comes from. Identifying your values, identifying what you enjoy working in, identifying what's draining you at work, and curating an environment that really truly serves you instead of serving other people. Because the opposite of proactive leadership is reactive leadership, and that means that you constantly feel like you have to say yes to everything around you.
Yeah. And that reactive, I would say, would also be someone that maybe struggles with that saboteur pleaser, right?
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Going back to
Love
that
it.
meeting example, I just was working with a client this morning, triple booked from about 8:30 in the morning to about 8 o'clock at night with maybe a short space in there because it was a global company. Triple booked, triple meetings. I go, hold on a second. This doesn't even make sense. From like there's not three of you. How do you do this? What do you do? And like after working together, he's able to say no to people for meetings. He's able to ask them to send summaries and follow-ups. They're able to now send him the one question that they need. Like he has more free time than he knows what to do with because he started managing his time instead of letting other people manage his time.
Yeah. So true. All right. A favorite mentor that you have had that has supported you in your leadership growth?
So I'd have to say my dad. He is probably the reason why I'm an entrepreneur. And he's 100% the reason why I don't accept authority. I respect authority. I don't accept authority. There's a very big difference. And he taught me that you don't have to say yes to something just because it's the standard way. It's the thing that people do. The normal 9 to 5, the sitting behind a desk, the yes ma'am, yes sir type of mentality towards work. And that's been really important for me. I lost it for a bit when I had a lot of career disappointments. A lot of the things that I wanted to achieve in my career, I did not when I was younger. And that led me to just kind of say, whatever. Work is work. Work doesn't matter. Do what you need to do, leave, go enjoy your life. And I missed out on the most beneficial aspect of work, is that you can show up values aligned and make money for doing something that you love. It's still work at times, but you can create relationships, you can learn skills, you can explore the world, you can make new connections, you can leverage your career capital to gain access to a lot of different things that would not be available to you. But you should do it on your own terms.
Yeah, love it. All right. So, how about an actual quote that you feel really embodies the topic being proactive leadership?
Okay, I have to say there's a quote that I don't believe in that I want to share, and then a quote that I believe in.
Okay.
So when I was younger, there was this quote: somewhere, someplace, someone is practicing when you are not. And it was this idea that just work hard, work harder, work harder, work harder, work harder. And it's like, that is the most ridiculous quote now that I think about it, because this was on my wall as a kid. And I was like, I have to always be working hard. I always have to be working hard. And you're not in competition with anybody. You're not. And if someone tells you that you are, you're not. You should just be trying to make yourself happy and improve in a way that aligns with your values. If you don't want to improve, good for you. 100%. But if you're interested in growing, then even learning that something is wrong is learning how to do something right. I mean, it's like, think about putting together furniture, or something breaks and you try to put it together again. I volunteer with this group that builds electric autonomous vehicles, and there's no instruction. You go in there, like the most serious electrical systems, and they just make sure you don't get electrocuted, but you do it wrong 7 times. Why? Because you're sure going to remember how to do it right. It doesn't mean you have to be doing it all the time. Anyways, okay, getting a little off track on the non-quote. But the quote that I truly love is that the most important leader is the one that's within you. And when you get down to the heart of it, who makes your decisions? Who decides to be angry? Who decides to get that work done? It's you, always. Leaders are there to help you succeed, not to tell you what to do.
Yeah, it's very true. It all comes down to us. I was talking to an owner recently, and they're like, you know what, Allie, what you do is a little therapy-like. And I said, I get that. And just know when it gets too much to a place of where I feel like they really need therapy, I always recommend that they find a good therapist. But I do believe that it's what is all here in our heart first. And that affects everything. And it ripples through the entire organization when we can be in a good place in our heart. And that kind of brings us back to the start a little bit of what you were talking about, and definitely my belief system. Yeah. All right. What's a favorite snack?
Oh, I love so many snacks. So there's this chip company called Siete out here well, I guess they're everywhere,
Yeah.
but they have a really cool founder story. If you ever listen to how I built this, I totally recommend it. It's super fun to listen to. And the fact that they were like their name before they were Siete is hilarious. So that's a little plug to go listen to that episode. But they make like Fugo and barbecue and salt and vinegar, and they're just better for you chips.
Yes. Don't they make tortilla chips or tortillas?
They make so much. They make
Yeah.
tortillas, they make enchilada sauce, they've expanded. I think they make spices.
So I have food allergies, and I believe it is the same company. It's Siete, and it is gluten-free as well as dairy-free. And oh gosh, they have a lime chip, I want to say, that is amazing. I love their products. And you can even find their tortillas in Costco, which is a huge find. There you go. Your
They
tidbit.
also have lots of food sensitivities and allergies and stuff. So hence, like all my better for you CPG products, I have lists we should compare.
I appreciate that. I'm always looking. Oh, Ben, so much great information. I'll have your information in the show notes, but anything else you want to share with our listeners?
If you're listening to this episode and you're like, yeah, I get it, but it's not going to work for me. You just don't know what I have to deal with every single day. I promise you it will. And if you still don't believe that it will, like you're not even willing to put in like a little bit of effort, find something new, start over, start fresh, and choose to lean into this new aspect of proactive leadership. Because I do admit, sometimes our stories hold us back, and those stories can be embedded in the environment that we're in. I get it. It's like the clients I work with that believe the only way to work is to quit your job and to work for yourself. I get it. Sometimes those stories are so powerful and will dictate how you believe things have to be that you need to do it before you're able to actually have the information you need to make another decision. So make a decision, make it right, and then figure out what else you want to decide.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you for tuning in to Snack Leadership. I hope you felt inspiration, motivation, and felt your mindset spark. Snack Leadership is recorded and produced by myself, Ali Camilletti, and music by Shireen Amini.